Oh, Austin, why'd you have to go and do us like that?
Why'd you have to go and betray us? Was it all about the money? Is it all just about the money? About the greed? Think about the children, Austin. The children!
Guys, welcome back. I don't know what that intro was. Welcome, and make sure to like, sub, and comment. If my energy is a little bit drained, it's because I was back at school, and let's just say my spirits are a bit dropped. They're a bit low. I'm a bit low today, guys. I'm a bit low because of that school thing. Austin McBroom being exposed by the CEO of LiveXLive. So this is the first point that I'm going to be making into the video. So point number one is that Austin McBroom refused to have this event, Social Gloves, on cable or satellite. A lot of pay-per-views make their pay-per-views on cable and satellite because people don't want to watch it on their old computers. They want to watch it on the 4K TV that they got suggested to buy from Best Buy. I'm going to spoil the video or the thesis of it, and that is Austin actually didn't care about boxing. He wasn't trying to make a legit career. He wasn't trying to, become the next Logan Paul, KSI. He was doing this pure and simply for money, and I really love money as well, but you can't scam young kids and make a big thing because then you face allegations and you're the next Wolf of Wall Street. It's very dishonorable what Austin has done, and personally I think that whatever comes to him, he kind of deserves. Number two, Austin did not want to pay for any marketing of this event. No traditional things, like think about it. The week of the fight, why do you think there was no ads? There was nothing until the actual way, and I thought it might have gotten canceled. So, and I do think that they did need a more stronger, better, more elaborate, cohesive marketing plan, and it being in our faces. I remember there was one video that someone did asking who do you think is gonna win the boxing event, and a lot of people didn't know, and the guy was surprised. But honestly, I think it's because Austin really wasn't hyping up this event, and that's because he didn't care. Austin did not care if people tuned in or not. He just knew that he was gonna make money regardless of how bad or poor the pay-per-views were, or even if 10,000 out of 60,000 seats were sold. He was gonna get the bulk of the money, go away with his family, run away, and leave those guys to the wayside. Now, Austin actually accused Hard Rock Stadium, Ticketmaster were lying about how many people actually showed up, and they weren't giving the true numbers, even though that wouldn't make any sense. And then the CEO of LiveXLive goes on to say that Social Gloves could have been a great social experiment, one in which Austin could have been extremely successful. And again, he said that while these numbers, in terms of YouTube numbers, were not great, he did go on to say that the pay-per-view buys and how many people were there is something that's not normally done in first-time events, and that this event was extremely successful, despite some people thinking it was an L. I think it's just because we have high expectations with these social media events, as they've all done over 1 million plus pay-per-views, but that's KSI and Logan Paul, and they are top content creators. So then the CEO also says that Austin was going to pay for the whole production, or the majority of the production, said the money was wired, and they never paid it, and at the end of the day, he never paid it. It was this whole complicated financial thing, but essentially Austin never paid for this. Why he never did this? I'm going to assume it's because he probably didn't have enough money to pay for it, or to be honest with you, he didn't want to dip his own money into this event because he simply did not care. He only cared about making money and getting on to the next scam to get him more money. So this next part is complicated. I'm going to try and reenact this as much as I'm going to try and tell you this as easily and quickly as possible. But I guess Austin has first position, meaning that all of the money goes to him, but LiveXLive is holding that money into the account, and Austin basically wants all of the money that was generated to himself, and then he would give it to the people. But some famous basketball player that was the main investor in this, along with Taylor and Bryce, in their lawsuits are like, we don't want Austin to get the money, just pay us the money. But LiveXLive won't give them the money because they know that the financials are not what they were promised. This man basically could potentially have committed fraud and done contracts weirdly, and he really just pulled a next Wolf of Wall Street. Don't call him the Wolf of Wall Street. Call him the McBroom effect. Hey. Just again, this is another reiterating of my statement in that basically the CEO of LiveXLive said this can all be solved if Austin just talks with me and talks to the lawyers and settles with each person, but by doing that he would have to admit and this would hurt his ego, that the event made significantly less money, and that the people would have to get a renegotiated contract and not get the $5 million that like Bryce Hall was promised or anything. And this is the whole thing. Austin literally is doing this to himself. He is literally a host unto himself. He is literally the cause of his own destruction, and it is sad to see, but at the same time, I think his intentions were very dubious, evil, and ultimately very self-satisfying, taking advantage of people just for money, and he kind of deserves what's happening to him. And the CEO says in the interview, this can all be over if we talk, but time is going away. So basically, this next part is where the guy talks about, did Austin commit fraud? So for first position in like this whole I know I've mentioned that, basically means that Austin gets paid first. That's literally all it means. Now, where this could be a fraudulent thing is Austin was probably the only one that was actually legitimately had a first position, because he told all of the other fighters that they were first position, which was not true. And because Austin signed a contract with potentially just himself, because he owns Social Gloves, of course he's going to give himself the money first and maybe withhold that from other people. And you can't tell people their first position when you're getting the money first, and you don't even have a discussion with other people to decide who gets the money first. And I guess LiveXLive and James Harden were the only ones that paid the real money, and they are the ones saying we deserve the money and we deserve first position, and James thought he was first position, and they kind of do deserve it, because I don't think Austin put as much money as LiveXLive did and James Harden. And basically Austin doesn't want to sign over any of the contracts. I know I'm kind of just saying the same thing, but this kind of is continuing saga of financialness. Basically, if Austin sends over the contracts and people realize, oh, like, we're not getting paid, Austin might not get paid. And again, Austin's whole prerogative, his objective, was to get money. So that's why he will never turn over the contracts. And he kind of should at this point. James Harden basically had a personal guarantee. So if Austin doesn't pay that back, he might have to take money out of his account, which could lead to him losing his house, his cars, and this could really just be a bad situation for his whole family. That's pretty much the big juicy details from that interview and doing my research. And again, my final opinions is Austin clearly was doing this for an easy payday to maybe beat the Logan and Jake at making a boxing event. He did not have good morals going into this. He did some very shady stuff with financial problems, and ultimately he is going to be the one that's losing money, that's going to get screwed over along with his family. And ultimately I think he did not look at the data, because again, why would a TikTok versus YouTube event in a pandemic in which your core audience probably doesn't have the money to go and pay the money to go into the 60,000 arena stadium? Heck, Logan and Floyd couldn't even sell that out. And again, 130,000 pay-per-views are not terrible, but for the social media following that these people had, it's kind of a bit of a disappointing factor. My opinion is that Austin simply looked at the numbers instead of realizing that TikTok fans are like, they might have 20 million fans, but they only have like maybe under 1 million loyal people. Because again, with YouTubers, why they're more loyal is because we get to know them, we get to experience them, we get to watch videos with them, we build a connection. These TikTok stars just took off and went viral in under a year, and they just post videos of them dancing. There's no personal connection, there's no emotional relationship. You know, like, people like think, oh, Vinny Hacker is hot, and oh, I want to see him fight, but I don't really care because I don't know the guy. And so at the end of the day, I think that there was a lot of poor judgment on this event. It should never have been so pricey. This event should have been $10 to $20 max in terms of pay-per-views. It should have been at a 10,000 max arena with very low prices, because again, this audience that you're targeting is ultimately one that does not have a lot of money, and if they do, they're not going to want to go above and beyond to pay $70 for a pay-per-view or go to Hard Rock Stadium. So ultimately, Austin just overestimated the audience, and it was just a poorly run event that was clearly done for money. And I would love to see a doc or a movie on this to really find out what Austin did, because it was very clearly very shady, and we all now know why this event was a failure, and we all know why Austin did what he did and what his true motive was. That was money, and that was greed. And those two things only lead you down bad paths. Like, sub, and comment. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't be a fraud. But maybe the McBroom effect works. Probably not.